What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bluegrass State of Mind, the show where three college roommates talk life, sports, and all the ridiculous things that happen in an apartment we like to refer to as Room 302. We're bringing you stories, hot takes, and the kind of late-night debates that probably should have stayed in the group chat.
So grab your headphones, sit back, and get ready for a wild ride through our past college life, sports, and everything in between. Let's get into it. This is Bluegrass State of Mind.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. Thank you all for listening in and joining us for this episode. If you are watching us through YouTube, Spotify, whatever it is that you're listening to and watching, you can see that we have a guest with us. First time guest, Mr. Skylar Gerald. So, Skylar, thank you for hopping on to Bluegrass State of Mind. Obviously, we know you. But those who are listening may not know you. Some probably do, but kind of just real quick, give a little brief introduction of yourself, and then we can hop right into the episode for tonight.
All right, I appreciate you guys having me on. For me, Skylar Gerald, just like you said, that's my name. I grew up with Dylan and Colton, met Mason through you guys, where you guys went to college. I currently live in Lexington, from Monroe, but season ticket holder for UK. Grew up Big Blue Nation. We all bleed blue. Looking forward to kind of discussing how our season's ending up here and the good, the bad, and the ugly at this point.
Yeah, the good, the bad, the ugly. I think you said it really good there. But one real quick, I do want to, before we get into Kentucky stuff, with Colton and Skylar and I being from Monroe, I do want to take a pause and give a shout out. I feel like we need to give a shout out to the boys and girls high school basketball team for not only advancing to region, but both winning a game in the first round and advancing to the semifinals game. I mean, like that's a real big deal. So, congrats to you all the Monroe Countyans listening. I think the girls play today or tonight, which is going to be released on Friday. The boys play Monday. I got to thinking, Mason, you won't mean anything. This won't mean anything for you, but Skylar and Colton and maybe some of the Monroe Countyans. Skylar, just thinking back to our day with Coach Kirkpatrick. Just a real quick story. I don't know why it was hitting me today, but whenever our senior year, when we had won Class A and advancing to the region Class A or the state Class A championship game. But before then, we've had to play, I think it was Owen County, and they had that Carson Williams guy who went on to play at Western, and talking about a dude who was a monster. Like, what, 6'6", 6'7", 250, 260.
Just pure muscle.
Tight end. Just
huge.
Pure muscle. Ended up playing tight end, too. Well, we end up winning the game. I don't know if I'm sure you remember this, Skylar, because this is one of my favorite memories of Coach K. But he's sitting in there, and we was all on a high. We just come in there, we won. And I think it was Todd Burgess who kept stats for us at the time. And Coach K, he looked at me, he said, "Yeah, baby, that's how we do it. We stopped that man. We stopped him." He looked at Todd Burgess. He said, "Ah, how many points did he have?" He said, 24. All right. Okay. Well, how many rebounds did he have? 18. That's okay. We won anyways. Let's go.
24 and 18.
Yeah, that man went for like 24 and 18 on us, and he was pumped thinking that we stopped that man. But hey, we got the dub. That's all that matters. Oh, man. But in all seriousness, congrats to the boys and girls from Monroe County. Best of luck to you all. It's a big deal. Cherish those moments. I know it's something that I think about a lot. Watching the high schoolers is just living those. That was some of the best moments that we've had. But let's shift gears. Let's get into the Kentucky game. So obviously Kentucky was playing the Texas A&M Aggies, and what? There's a lot to unpack with this game. But, just going through stats, and then we'll kind of get into the specifics of the game. Kentucky does go on the road and does lose in College Station of a score to 85-96. If you want to talk about highlights of the game, I mean, Otega Oweh did finish with 24 points. He had 5 assists. Denzel Aberdeen finished with 9 points, 8 assists. Then you had Muhammad
0
Diabate.
turnovers again, right?
Yes, he did have 0. No, he had one turnover.
1. Okay.
Yep. Then you have Muhammad Diabate, who finished with 19 points and 7 total rebounds, by far his best game, Colin Chandler was kind of, he didn't show up and show up. I gave him his love and his flowers, and he didn't show up. He only had 3 total points with 4 rebounds. Andre Yelovich, 5 total points. But that's kind of just the stats as individuals go. But I think the most important thing is what a great start. Let's talk about some of the positives before we get into the negative. Mason, right away, Kentucky comes out. And, I felt like, all cylinders were clicking. We were clicking on the outside, inside. Colin Chandler hits a 3. We were breaking the press, ball movement, getting layups. At one point, whenever Brandon Garrison came in, him and, Jasper Johnson, they looked like a duo that was like, what is going on? But so, what were some of the positives that you've seen early other than what I had mentioned? And you can go into detail more so with those. But, we looked good. The first 10 to 12 minutes, we looked good.
Yeah, we looked really good. It honestly reminded me of, how we started against Vandy, right? Like the ball movement looked great. Our offense looked good. Everybody was moving, sharing the basketball. Wasn't in a lot of, like 10 seconds, 12 seconds on the shot clock trying to go find or create a shot, right? Like everybody was in sync together. Our offense looked really good. We were knocking down shots. We came out, looked like we were ready to play, jumped on them quick. And then after that, I think we all know what happened. But it does give me a little bit more optimism. Like, I know we lost this game, but like the way our offense has looked, like the full Vandy game would look good, right? But the way we came out and we started against Texas A&M, like, I feel like this team has kind of found a little bit of something here recently with the offensive rhythm and the flow of things. And if we can just keep stringing that together and building on that, maybe we can get hot right when the right time is needed here in March. Just got to keep that together for the full game like we did against Vandy.
Colton, I didn't even mention his name, but, Trent Noah. Trent Noah had 9 points. The man didn't score in the month of February. But, I think, and a lot of people have talked about it, but I sent it to you all in our group chat, was, for me, the pivotal moment was we were up 12 points, full control of the game. Trent Noah has a pretty much wide open 3 on the right wing. He misses it. They come down, and then they hit a 3, which is a 6-point swing. And then from there, it just fell apart. Kind of, we let off there. We're not going to get into too much because, we there's really nothing to highlight because we just looked so good. Everything was going. But at what point of the game, Colton, for you, did you okay, we are starting to derail? Because obviously it wasn't just that missed shot that's exactly when everything changed the whole game. People miss shots, even when they're on runs in their head. But for you, when is it that you kind of seen, okay, we need to do something differently and we need to do it quick because this is going downhill fast?
Yeah, so going into the game, I don't know if you had seen the stats, but like Texas A&M took a lot of threes. Like that was going to be a given. They take like a ton of threes, and they didn't hit anything the first 10 minutes. They were shooting, not hitting anything, and we were getting transition buckets, long rebounds. And the moment that I think it was the Dominguez, is that his name? But the moment that he hit back to back, and one of them was kind of like a tougher one that kind of was contested, was the moment that I was like, oh no. I thought we had a chance there to really kind of put them away with maybe Noah making the shot, or maybe us, really trying to increase that lead to, instead of 12, get up to 15 to 17, something like that. But instead, all it took was a couple threes in a row by them. And the next thing you know, you're within, a couple baskets. And it was at that point that it was kind of like, obviously, I think everyone wants to point to the substitutions, and we'll probably get into that. But I was listening to the point to where I think Owe and Aberdeen was out at the same time, and they were out for 71 seconds. 71 seconds they were on the bench together, out of the game. And in that 71, so that's a minute and 11 seconds. In that a minute and 11 seconds, they went on an 8-0 run. And I think that's
you got to play them the whole time. That's what I've been saying.
Yeah, so there is enough that I think it flipped right there, 8-0 run
for in a minute and 11 seconds.
Mason, for the viewers out there, can you please say it on record? Say it on record. What you said in our group text that you're all for away and Aberdeen playing 39 to 40 minutes now.
At this point, when we're in March, starting in the SEC tournament, NCAA tournament, yes. I mean, I think they need to be playing 38 to 40 minutes at that point. But the whole season and the last 6 games, no, you can't do that.
Well, you see what happens when they don't. All right,
regular season game.
Well, Skylar, so I got a couple of stats for you, and I just want you to tell me which one you think is probably, if you had to pick one or two, the most important. Because looking at the team stats, okay, to our assist, for our assists, we had 22 assists to 13 turnovers. They had 16 assists to their 7 turnovers. For the paint, we outscored them in the paint. We dominated their paint. We had 42 points only to their 26. We also had more second chance points than them. We had 15 to their 9. But a couple of things you look at that, okay, which one of these maybe, if not all, obviously play big factors. But looking at turnovers, we only had 10 to their 18. But this is where it kind of gets, okay, this is the game. Here it is. All right, we only had 39 bench points to their 57. They outscored our bench 18 points. They also got to the free throw line 10 more times than we did. And then the fast break points, they had 14 to our 4. So if you had to pick and choose which one of those stats kind of probably was a big turning point for this team, what would it be and why, I guess, would be the question.
Well, for me, especially in the beginning, so like you said, we started hot, we looked great, we brought the intensity, and then as soon as those shots started to fall for them, it just fell off. The intensity dropped. They got more aggressive. They were the more aggressive team. Our turnover numbers started to increase, and then that's when they started making shots. And then, like Colton said, the rotations as far as the bench players go, we just saw no production. I mean, other than when Jasper and Brandon Garrison came in, they had that one little slip pass. I think Jasper had 1 or 2 pretty good assists there in the beginning. Other than that, there was nothing to be seen. It was more of like a defensive liability from our bench the remainder of the game. And then we just dug ourselves such a big hole based off their pressure and turnovers. So it'd be the
bench point, probably.
I think so. I think that because I think the bench productivity and then that leading to turnovers combined was just we just shot ourselves in the foot. There was no coming back. We dug a hole too deep at that point.
Well, and I think that it's important to note, though, that we did have 8 less turnovers than them. But I think maybe more importantly than that, it was the timing of the turnovers. That's a huge part of what's going on, because whenever a team gets in rhythm, whenever they was going on their run, that's kind of probably where all those turnovers, if I had to look at like when the turnovers, I don't have that in front of me, like accumulated, I would say that was probably when most of them occurred, because the second half, it was kind of an even game, but we dug ourselves in such a huge hole, and we turned the ball over in such crucial moments whenever they started playing that Bucky ball, where they speed things up. They try to just make chaos of the situation. That's kind of where it started to derail, and then that led to the bench points. But yeah, I mean, it's just the bench points. Like, I mean, when you get outscored 18 points from the bench. Now, I didn't know this, but apparently Texas A&M is one of the deeper benches in the country. But we're talking about a team. I'd heard a stat, and I wish I knew. I wish I would have wrote it down. But the 3 teams in Georgia, Auburn, and Texas A&M, I think it was that they, at that point in time when we played them, they were 3-16. It was something like that. And I was like, that is so wild to me that, that when a team comes in collectively, they are 3-16. Because when we met Georgia, they were on a big losing streak. Auburn was a big losing streak. A&M now is a big losing streak. That's just one of those games that you got to go get. Colton, one thing I want to ask you about is and I think that there is some truth to this, but Mason has mentioned it before about this trap game scenario. But to me, this is one of those games that you can't really just keep calling it a trap game. Not saying that Mason is saying that this was a trap game, but at some point, there's got to be a sense of urgency, not only from the other team, but from us as well. I mean, you're talking about seeding for the SEC tournament now, where we've put ourselves in a huge predicament that we could be anywhere from a 4 seed to a 10 seed. And it's almost as if we're giving we're having to see what other teams can do. It's like they have control more so than let us take control and have that sense of urgency. So do you like that, some of that is like, okay, well, Texas A&M was fighting for their lives. We should be fighting for our lives too, right? I mean, is there any truth to that, or like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so I talked to Mason a little bit about it. Like I'm not saying like I do think there are such thing as like trap games where like you're obviously the better team, but you come in maybe off a big win or a random road game falls in between a couple big games and you just can see they don't have the energy or the focus or anything like that. But with this team, it's hard to say that any of these games are trap games because you can't tell me that we're better than Texas A&M. Maybe I think we are, but I mean, we've also looked terrible at times, but we've looked so bad at
Stop.
times. But we've looked so bad, Mason. We're not that good of a team.
I got a stat for y'all here in a minute. Go ahead.
But what I'm saying though is like, in trap games, Kentucky basketball. I don't care if it's a trap game or not. You don't allow a 26-2 run in a trap game. That's not like a thing for Kentucky basketball. You might allow a team to hang around, but you do not allow a team that's worse than you if you are claiming that we're that much better to have a 26-2 run. Like that is not that's unheard of anywhere. So like it's hard for me to sit there and say, trap game. They just caught us off guard, so we let them score 30 straight points pretty much. I mean, like that's ridiculous. Like that's just bad basketball.
Mason,
It's
before I
bad
send it over
basketball.
to you, I want to get Skylar's thoughts on this. Talking about this sense of urgency, Skylar, now we land ourselves in a predicament, like I've mentioned, that, it's a sad situation because we're looking at possibly having to play on a Wednesday. And again, it's so it is completely opposite. We see these stats, like I've said on the podcast on a previous episode about how Mark Pope has so and so many top 25 wins in his first 2 years, more than we had in the last 4 years, and there's so many stats. But then you have this stat that's we might be playing on a Wednesday, and I couldn't tell you if I ever see Kentucky fight and have to play on a Wednesday. I don't know if we've ever played on a Wednesday since I've been watching Kentucky basketball. If it has been a very, very long time. So, just talk like, how does that feel like as a Kentucky fan? I mean, you have people who, are probably and most definitely bought tickets for sure for maybe a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, possibly Sunday. But a Wednesday? Like, that's hard pill. That's a hard pill to swallow.
I think with that, it's just we grew up with, we know what Kentucky basketball is and what it can be, and this just isn't what we're used to. Colton said, what was it, a 26-2 run? Well, we used to do that to other teams.
Yeah.
So that's what we're used to. We're like, this is heard of for us, but in the opposite form. But playing on a Wednesday in SEC tournament is just unheard of for me. Now, I'm going to be a little positive. I know we've been through injuries. I know we've been back and forth. Pope's done what he can as far as lineups, the team. I honestly, I still think he's still trying to figure out with some of the players and lineups that we see on the floor. So trying to be glass half full. Maybe we'll get into a stride here, figure something out. I don't believe it's going to happen. I think we're kind of stuck in a hard place right now. But I also feel like we could beat any team in the country when we pull it together. Well, we could also lose to every single team in the country all at the same time.
I agree, Mason. You took your deep breath. You said y'all are killing me. We've let you. All right, so go ahead and proceed on with what she was going to say.
All right. So first off, maybe trap game is not the right word for this, but one, we're still Kentucky. Okay, we're still everybody's Super Bowl. I don't care that we haven't had the seasons that we have expected the last 2 seasons.
I don't know that we're everybody's Super Bowl
Stop
anymore.
it, Dylan.
After watching the South Carolina game.
After watching the South Carolina and Texas A&M game,
yeah,
there's nobody in them
Texas
gyms.
A&M was Texas A&M.
No, there really wasn't. When you look back, did you see a big picture? There was no.
Did you see the big picture?
Yeah. KSR.
Okay,
like, there was no one in the gym.
Here's my thing. We still. Listen, we turn the heads in the media, right? We bring numbers, all right? Everybody cares when Kentucky comes to count. Maybe not South Carolina because they're dead last in the SEC and they're garbage. Okay, SEC was reeling. They're not really a basketball school, whatever. But here's the thing. They're not necessarily, maybe they're not trap games like I said, but you still got to think about this. If you're a Kentucky team, you know you're safely in a tournament, and you have another team who is desperately fighting for their life to keep playing basketball this season. Which team do you think is going to come out more motivated, more hungry? And y'all can sit here and say, well, we should be the same. Sure, we should. But you know that other team's going to have more energy. They're fighting for their life right now. Like, if they don't win this game, their season is probably over. Same thing with Georgia. If they don't win that Kentucky game, who knows? They probably don't go on to win these next games. They're probably not making the tournament, right? So I'm not sitting here saying that, like, they're necessarily, like, your common trap games, but all of these teams are fighting for their NCAA tournament life. And here's another stat I'll throw at you real quick, and why the win for Kentucky still means so much with the committee, all right? Kentucky in the SEC. You know what our strength of schedule was in the SEC? Number 2.
Oh,
Number
2.
2. You know who
Who's
number 1
one?
was? South Carolina, 3-14. You know what Florida's was? 15th out of 16 teams. All right. You know how many top 20 wins we have? 4. You know how many Florida has? 3. You know how many SEC Quad 1 wins we have? 5. You know how many Florida has? 6. You know how many top 50 road wins we have? 3. You know how many Florida has? 3. So everybody's sitting here saying this. We have the second hardest strength of schedule in the SEC. We have the most top 20 wins and the second most SEC Quad 1 wins in the entire SEC. And everybody's still sitting here acting like the roof's caving in.
Well, I don't think it's that the roof is caving in. I'm just naming the facts of what has happened. And I think it's more so just, I think that I think you'd be ignorant to say that, like, oh, the roof is not caving in a sense that, we're having to possibly play on a Wednesday. So I think it's the bigger picture for me that is like, yes, I totally understand that Texas A&M is fighting for their lives, and South Carolina at the point was or Georgia, and whoever it is that we're playing in Auburn. But it's the fact that we also are kind of not fighting for our lives to actually make the tournament, but we're also in a predicament that we're fighting, and we shouldn't be at the point that we're having to fight. Like, we should be winning games. And now, I know that this is the team we have. We've had some things not go our way, but that kind of is a lot of that's roster build has to do with Pope, and I'm not trying to be hard at all. I'm just listing facts. I mean, I just don't see how anybody could come out of that game and be like, yeah, I mean, like, obviously, yes, it is what it is. This is the team we have, but at the same time, it still doesn't make it okay.
But yeah, the thing to me about it is all those stats that you name, Mason, is that's real good. Except for you don't name the bad losses that we have. Like, what are we against Power 4 teams in the last 2 years? Aren't we like 500? Like so like, maybe when we win, we're beating a good team, but when we lose, we're losing to a bad team. So like, that's no good. That kind of cancels everything out. Like, we can sit there and say we have as many Quad 1 wins as someone, but you know what Florida doesn't do? Lose that game against Texas A&M.
You know what Florida also has? A healthy roster.
Or just better coaching. I mean,
you can say you can say it either way you want. If we have a healthy roster,
well, that's the thing too. We were 30 to 18.
Okay, so that will segue perfect into our next segment. So let's just say, because that's what we're about to get into. So Colton, you sent something interesting. Coaching malpractice. I'm gonna kind of let you take the lead on, like, this segment of our podcast here about talking about, okay, coaching malpractice. What is it? What is coaching malpractice? And then let's go around.
Yeah, look, you can watch games when you see there's a difference in, like, when we don't have injuries, right? If we go out to that Texas A&M game and we shoot the ball like 1 for 18 from 3, one of our best players gets in foul trouble, they shoot 15 for 18 from 3, stuff like that. You're kind of like, okay, look, it happened. I don't know that you could have changed anything. When you're at 30 to 18 and you should have the better team on the court, and you're also fighting for, like, better seating and to make sure that you're not playing on a Wednesday, and you allow a team to go on a 26-2 run without calling a timeout that you're going to lose in the first half, and a big part of it is that's one, malpractice in itself, the fact that you even allow that to happen, but 2, the fact that it got caused mainly because of your substitutions that have not been just a problem this year, but was a big problem we talked about last year. Because going into the season, we were like, man, we've got 13 players. I'm worried about his substitutions because last year they were killer at times. And we're seeing the same thing happen deep into the second season. And he backs it up in the media. If y'all are paying attention to the media, he's like, I think we got to get deeper into the bench. And I'm like, man, like, what are the analytics speaking to him? Because everyone else, when they post these numbers, are like, here they are. Like, why are you not playing this together? And so to me, that's malpractice. Is like, you are literally going against what numbers are saying, what every common coach in America would do in calling a timeout in that type of run. And yet you are watching it like, what's it called? Insanity is when you do the same thing over and over again. Nothing changes, right?
Right.
Like when you keep doing
it.
the same, you keep doing the same
Results, you expect something
substitutions.
different, and
Yeah,
nothing's
when
happening.
you're expecting different, yeah, whatever. And I feel like he's stuck in that stage with the substitutions and some of this stuff right now. To me, that's coaching malpractice.
Well, breaking it down so for the ones that coaching malpractice is like, well, what are they technically talking about? So like the coaching malpractice, that just means like the coach itself is not acting, I guess, responsibly, or their standards, they're not meeting that. Like they continuously are failing to, I guess, progress in a sense. So, Skylar, looking at that and thinking of, Colton may have already dropped one that you was going to mention. What's maybe one of the coaching malpractices that if you had to pick one that you wrote down or that comes to mind, and you can elaborate off Colton's if you'd like. But looking at right now, Mark Pope's the coaching malpractice that he is practicing right now that is hurting his team in a sense.
I think for me is I wish coach would play the hot hand. I wish he would actually read the game a little bit more as far as pace of play and what's going on. I understand in the world we live in now in sports, like analytics is a huge part. Everything's a little bit more technological than when we played. But if you've got a player out here that's a dog on defense, he's locking his guy down, or someone who's making shots, making a bucket, they might seem a little tired, but these kids are D1 athletes. They're now getting paid to play. I think we gotta ride the hot hand a little bit longer instead of instantly trying to go and like be so reserved on our minutes as far as getting Oway out or Aberdeen. There's a few spurts where we gotta have a dog in there, and we don't have many of those on our team right now. So I think that's my biggest issue right now as far as Pope. And I know he wants to get deep into the lineup and give people all the breaks they need, but it's do or die at this point.
I think though, like we keep talking about like the substitution patterns, and Mason, I think that it's like it's one of those fine lines for I feel like as a coach, like obviously I know I'm saying like Oway and Aberdeen need to play a lot, like need to play the 39, 40 minutes, but that's not going to be the case for every player on this team. I think it is for me, and I don't know if you would agree with this, but I would hope that you do. It's that when substituting, it's not the subs, it's the mass substitutions that with this team, it's one of those things that no matter what, you have to have either Chandler and Oway and Aberdeen, or Aberdeen and Chandler. Like you can't have all three out at the same time. Like that just cannot happen because when that happens, then you're relying on you have Diabate, you have Jasper Johnson, Marino, Yelovich, you have Trent Noah, like that's just not an offensive lineup for us. So looking at that, I think that's where the frustration can be. It's not that we're subbing; it's just that the timing of the subbing of how many guys we're bringing out. That goes back to Skylar's point that might be riding a hot hand. I mean, do you agree with that? Like, is that something?
I agree completely, and I was about to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, but like I was looking back through, and I have the box score pull up here and like play by play here, so I'm going to kind of just walk through this really quick. So I 100% agree that his substitution patterns and how he subs deserve some scrutiny. But Pope subbed 4 players at the 10:44 mark. All right, we were up 6 whenever he did this substitution. He brought back in 4 starters: Oway, Moreno, Yelovich, Aberdeen, and it was Trent Noah along with them. All right, that group extended the lead to 30-18 with 8:05 left in the game. All right. from that 8:05 point. And I think this is where a lot of his scrutiny is coming in this game, because like they talk about how we built it to 12 and then we subbed and A&M cut into that lead. They were already cutting into that lead. Like I look back from the 8:05 point. All right, missed 3-pointer by Trent Noah, missed 3-pointer by Andre Yelovich, and then we had Texas A&M subbed at 6:52. All right, he subbed out Yelovich, Trent Noah, Moreno, subbed in Colin Chandler, Brandon Garrison, Diabate. Oway was still in there. All right. A&M, after that sub, A&M gets a steal. They hit a layup. We miss a shot. Diabate misses a shot. They get a rebound. Come down. They hit another jumper. So they cut it to 5 at that point. We have another turnover. Pop Isaacs makes a steal. They come down. They miss a shot. They get a rebound. They get fouled. All right. At that point, that's when he subbed Oway back out. But another thing that I don't think people realize is that Denzel Aberdeen picked up his second foul with like 15 minutes left in the first half.
This is true.
You can't sit there and play that guy the whole first half. Like he brought him back in, right? Like he trusted him, he brought him back in, but you can't sit there and play that guy the rest of the first half. So while I feel like yes, his substitution patterns do deserve some scrutiny, but they were already going on a run. They'd already cut that lead down to 5 when we were up 12 with Oway in there and Chandler and Diabate and some of our guys that we want to play. So, like, I get what people are saying, but at the same time, like, go back and watch the game and what actually happened and when it happened. Like, they were already cutting into that lead. They already had momentum. Pope was searching for answers. He was trying to stop this lead. He was trying to stop them from going on this run, and it didn't work. They got hot. They made 13 threes in the game. Like, I agree these mass substitutions are a little bit crazy, and I don't agree with going deeper in the bench at all, especially here in March. But I feel like people are kind of overreacting a little bit and trying to make something out of this particular game because of what happened.
So would you say, though, it's more of that, or would you then – so my follow-up to that would be, though, what about a timeout there? You know, I know we get media timeouts. I know we get
agree.
media timeouts, but, like, something has to – there has to be something that changes because, like, teams just don't go on 26-2 runs. Like, that just don't happen. You know, like something has to –
I agree with that completely. But, like, we were up, what did I say, 30-18?
Yeah, we're up 12.
We were up 30-18. They cut it to 2, 30-28. Pope calls a timeout. All right, he calls a timeout at 4:41.
But see, for me, I'm not even letting them cut it to 2. If the team goes on a 6-0 run, I'm calling a timeout. Maybe that's jumping the gun too much. But like when I was coaching, that was something that like that because you as a coach and being in that game, you can see, you can feel the environment. Like you know when it's shifting.
I agree. So basketball's a game of runs, 100%. I'd say that 6 to 10 mark, right? Kind of depending. Like 6 may be a little bit early, but like that 8, that's probably the right time. But I mean, then after that, like they cut it to 2, and then they come out and they push it out to 39-32 with 2 minutes left. Do we burn a whole nother timeout in the first half and only have 2?
But I think it goes back to how it transitioned. It's not the fact that it happened, because it'd be different if they were coming down, going late into the shot clock. We were playing good defense. The audience, the fans were not in it, but that's not what the case that was happening here. The man made 2 back-to-back threes. The crowd was getting into it. We had Brandon Garrison throw it, had a terrible turnover. Like we were falling right into that Bucky ball. So at that point, then yes, read the game, read the environment, forget the analytics, whatever it is, and get the timeout. And I know you're agreeing with it. I'm just adding on to it. But that is interesting that you bring that up about the substitution patterns, because I think maybe I jumped the gun a little bit immediately, not realizing that. But obviously, I go back to 26-2 run just can't happen. Colton, you stay silent a little bit. You've let Mason say his piece, my piece. Skylar, we went to you, but I want to go to Colton again to end this segment of the malpractice. Final thoughts on it. Just hearing everybody's thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, it's just I'm not referring to just this game. It's been a common thing with it, right? It'd be one thing if we were like talking, but like it's been things that we've talked about for 2 seasons now, and the same thing like when it comes to I mean, he did the same thing last year when we would get into a rhythm. It was like he'd mix it up, and we talked about it like well, his comment. Let me just make his comment about they were struggling to play on Saturday, Tuesday games. Give me a break. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's an embarrassing comment to me. You have a bunch of 20-year-olds that are having to play 2 basketball games in a 4-day span, and you're complaining about it, getting millions of dollars. That's excuses. I mean, that's straight excuses for I don't care what. It's just nonsense. That's a terrible excuse for essentially his coaching malpractice that they didn't like the subbing. He's trying to justify his bad subbing, and with that comment is what he's doing, because I don't see police officers or the military or firefighter or anyone else that's making minimum, barely anything taking off, but these poor kids can't play 2 basketball games in a and here we are. They might have to play 5 in a row. I don't know what they're going to do. They might as well just not even show up, right? If they can't play 2 out of 4 days, definitely don't need to show up to the tournament. They got to try to win 5 in a row. I mean, there's not any point. So like that type of stuff is where it's like, stop. Like it's an embarrassing comment. It really is. I mean, 20 years, can't play 2 basketball games in 4 days. Give me a break.
Dylan, I want one more thing before we finish up this segment.
All right.
For the coaching malpractice, because this goes right along with it. All right. So, last 6 possessions of the first half. Okay. We were down 34-32. They expanded it 45-33 in this span. All right. Malachi Moreno, 0 for 2 from the free throw line. Malachi Moreno, missed layup. Colin Chandler, missed open 3. Malachi Moreno, missed layup. Chandler, missed wide open 3. Otega Owe, wide open elbow jumper. Moreno, 1 for 2 at the line. So it's not like we weren't getting good looks. We just weren't doing anything. We couldn't hit nothing.
Hey, listen, I can live with that. I agree. But listen, I had to hear it when Antonio, I had to hear it was Cal's fault when Antonio Reeves went 1 for 12 against Kansas State. And and Reed Shepherd, their most consistent player, had his worst game of the year last year, right? Our free throw, and look, I had to hear it then about how it was all Cal's fault. So like, I'm in agreement with you on there, but like, don't come defending now when it was one coach's fault at one point, but now it's not this. Like,
we're not getting into the Cal debate. We're not getting into the Cal debate.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying though.
Stop
like, I'm just saying the same thing. I'm just saying the same things happen, and all of a sudden it was the coach's fault, and now it's players' fault, and I was on the same.
We'll revisit the Kentucky stuff because there was a lot of breaking news with Mitch Barnhart retiring. We'll get into that segment right after this segment. We're gonna do a little piece here. We're just going to, give a piece of advice that we have received, and you can take this anywhere you want, whether it be with sports, life, whatever it may be. It can be short and sweet. You can explain what it means to you. I just thought it'd be something fun, just different. But we'll start with you, Scholar. So, like, what's a piece of advice that you've received that you kind of put into practice, that you try to put into practice for whether it be sports or just life in general?
Well, for me, it's probably going to be both. So I'm going to tie this this goes in all sports and in life. And all you guys, I guarantee, were exactly the same. When I grew up, if you were doing something, no matter what it was, you were doing 100%. You were giving it everything you got at all times. And if you weren't, someone was going to let you know about it. I tie this into the team. I don't know. Just watching this team this year, it just makes me think sometimes they just ain't trying. They ain't trying how I know a D1 UK basketball player should be out there hustling. And it really eats at me just because growing up, like, we love sports. That's all we were about as kids. And there was never a game where I was like, yep, you know what? I'm feeling 50% today. I'm just gonna show up, hit some layup lines, and just not do it. I don't know. It's just not in me. Even in losing. Dylan, you remember the Class A state championship when we were getting absolutely destroyed?
Yeah, got busted.
Do you remember me talking smack to them? Trying to get in their heads. I was trying to do everything I could. Dylan looked at me in the middle of the game and said, "Dude, stop talking. We're down 20." I was like, "Man, we got to try something. Like, no matter what, I don't care what it is. I'm going at it full force." So, in life and in general at my job, like, I try to show up. I do everything, and I just wish this team had a little bit more like grit, a little more effort, to hustle. Like, this is it. You're never going to play college basketball again after these 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. So, like, what you do now is what's going to be a Kentucky legacy, because this is a legacy program. I don't know. Sometimes just watching this team, it just makes me think back to that. Like, I wish I could just see hustle.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like you said, it's more than just the sport. I mean, it's what you're applying to your job and everyday life. Now, on a side note, yeah, we got busted in the championship game. Granted, they had
Destroyed.
like 4 players in going
Who was it?
D1.
Was
It
it
was
Newport?
Newport Central
Central
Catholic
Yeah,
private
I
school.
knew it.
But on the side note,
they were
though, for
cold.
this
Yeah,
is
they
another
were.
discussion for another time. But Colton it was part of the Monroe County Falcon baseball team that did get
Oh,
beat
here we go. I knew that was going to be
39 to
Ooh.
10. And he tried making the argument at one point that getting beat by 29 runs was not as bad as getting beat by, I think it was like 30 something, maybe 40
It was
in
30
the
something.
championship game. That's a discussion. Okay, that's a discussion for another time, but I had never heard of a team scoring 39 runs in my life in baseball. But Colton, what is a great piece of advice? And I love how Skylar he correlated it back to this Kentucky team. But what is something that a good piece of advice that you try to live by or have received in this life that you will want to continue to pursue and feed to your kids one day?
you've got to appreciate the little things in life. And that's because there's always something that you can find that's good. And it seems like everything, especially in the world today, when it seems like people would have, push, bad things on you, there's always good things to be able to appreciate. I mean, a bad day is really never as bad as it seems. And
Yeah, it always could be worse.
let's tie it to Kentucky basketball. It's never as bad as like I keep saying these things on. It's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems. People want to ride the roller coaster, but it's really never as bad as it seems. I mean, as bad as it is, it's tough, but I wouldn't be surprised if we beat Florida on Saturday. So,
Very
at
true.
the end of the day, you got to appreciate all the little things, find the good things in a day, and go on.
Colton has always been the type to look for the good things. I will say that he tries to. I remember very very often Colton would be trying to bring the mojo up a little bit. Although when it comes to Cal and the Pope argument, that might be a little different. But he does try to look for the good things in life. Mason, what is a great piece of advice that you have received?
One for me is always try to learn from a loss or a mistake, right? So there's people out there that if they make a mistake or they have a loss or something goes wrong, they want to hang their head or think about, well, maybe these people are just nitpicking at me. I always try to look at it as, okay, well, here's what I did wrong. Here's what I can do to fix that next time and be better. And I think if you have that mindset, right, you're just going to continue to grow. Try to figure out what it was that went wrong and how you can fix that and not make that same mistake again.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the best teacher in life is failure. That's pretty much what I'm so that's pretty much what that is.
Yep.
You look at, I hate saying this, but I mean, you look at Michael Jordan, he failed more than he succeeded on the last second shots, obviously. And LeBron, he succeeded more than he failed. So that makes sense. But
What?
I don't know if that's true or not. That's just a random stat out there that I just want to throw out. Chat GPT. No, for me, I had one, but I'm kind of wanting to go. Actually, no, I'm gonna stick with it. So I've mentioned it here before, and it's not really a quote. It's just a thing in itself. I told the story about whenever I was at Gamel when I was a younger kid, and I was laying on the floor. I felt like I was dying, and my dad hovers over me, and he's like, "You either get up right now, or we're gonna go to the hospital." Like, I mean, either you're hurt and you're going to the hospital, or you get up. And I think that is something that goes further than sports. Just looking at Skylar brought in, our jobs. Like there's going to be times, obviously, when things aren't going your way. And you didn't get the job you wanted. You was laid off. And in this case with Kentucky, you've lost a lot of bad games you should have won. But either you're going to go to the hospital, you're going to quit, whatever you want to put, whatever you want to put equivalent to that, or you're going to get up and go and keep going. And I think that's something that's really stood out to me is just, and more so the sports world, because that's kind of what I grew up on. We all grew up on sports. Is like you got to get up and go. I mean, and today, I mean, is it that are we beginning to be the old heads, or do you all see that with everything that we've said, it seems like typically hard work has kind of been the biggest thing. Are we getting to that point that we're the old heads, or have we seen this generation that it is different, or were we different at one point that the old heads were saying like we needed to be better and we need to work harder for what it was? I mean, just like what. Are we that, or do you all see a difference?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's generational as far as, I don't know. It could be like the whole unk status. Like we're looking at it like, man, we didn't act like that. We didn't do that. We didn't expect things to get handed to us like that. But did we? Like, did we actually just not see it? We're kind of blinded by it. Like we've all grown up a little bit, So I think it definitely could be a little bit of both.
Yeah, Mason, I can tell with my experience with him for sure. He definitely worked for everything that he got, and Colton was given a lot. So there's a very different guy.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, let's get to the bigger news. That's a good little segment there, a little heartfelt, more so than what we typically do on this podcast here. But looking at some breaking news, big news in the Kentucky world right now, whether it be sports, academics. I mean, it's a one that is going to move, and kind of this is the beginning. This is the start of a new chapter for Kentucky, specifically athletics. So, athletic director Mitch Barnhart retires. Mitch Barnhart announced his retirement on June of 2026 after 24 years in that row. He'd been the longest tenured athletic director in the SEC. And I guess the more breaking news, most people probably thought that he might leave and retire and go enjoy himself on an island and not go out in public and interact with people like he didn't do that anyways, as his time as the athletic director. But instead, he is now will be taking on a new role as the executive in residence for UK sports and workforce, which will initiate starting July 1st. And from my understanding, he's not going to be actually in the same office building as the athletics department. It's going to be a separate department. He's going to be still working, though, within the UK academics workforce. Now, looking at his time, during his tenure, Kentucky won 6 national championships, not basketball, just the program itself, but collectively, all athletics together. Won 6 national championships. Teams won 63 SEC regular seasons or tournament titles. He had poured in millions of dollars that were invested into new facilities. UK athletics had 27 straight semesters with a 3.0 GPA or higher. I thought I'd throw that in there. That was kind of interesting. But I, just throw in that, But looking at kind of, I guess you could personify as maybe like the home run hires, I guess, for Mitch Barnhart would be your John Calipari, Mark Stoops, Craig Skinner, Matthew Mitchell, Rich Brooks. And then obviously he had his bad hires, Billy Gillespie, Joker Phillips. And then I even put down question mark. I'm not saying this is a bad hire because that time will tell. But, he's going to be left legacy, Mark Pope, question mark. I'm not saying that he is a bad hire. That's just a question mark. But then I think the biggest questions, and I want to start with Mason on this, is, looking at Mitch Barnhart, what will he be remembered as? And I wrote down a couple of thoughts, and I want you to elaborate. And if you have something else, you can add. But I think one of the biggest things that Mitch Barnhart's going to be remembered as is the contracts that he gave John Calipari and Stoops, his relationship that he had with John Calipari, and then ultimately the relationship with the fans. There was a big, big disconnect, I felt like. That's kind of why I was throwing shade early on. But, Mason, what is something that, looking at that, if there's one thing that you're going to pinpoint, like, okay, that's kind of what I remember Mitch Barnhart for. And then I want the fellas also to elaborate and give their thoughts on it as well.
Yeah. I mean, first off, I think I've said this to you all. I don't know a whole lot about, like, ADs, and what really goes on. But I've read a lot of stuff that, like, Mitch did a lot of good things outside of our two major programs, football and basketball. Like he did a lot of good things for UK athletics and helped build some of these other programs up and help them grow. So shout out to Mitch. But I think the one thing that obviously for me, just because it's fresh, it's something that's happened recently, it's just the contracts that he gave to Stoops and Cal. And then another one for me is just how he hasn't really gotten on board with the whole college basketball, college athletics in
That's a good
general
one. I didn't put that down.
has shifted so much with NIL, and he just hasn't really got on board with that, and then the whole JMI deal. So I think those three things, in general, are going to be obviously it's at the end of his tenure. Those are going to be the things that are kind of fresh on people's mind right now, and obviously those have involved our major programs, right? So that's going to overlook all the other things that he did to build up some of these other programs and whatever he did to get there, which I don't know the details in that, but those are the three things for me because you just look at I get it. Like Cal did great things for us, and I know I've been very critical of Cal, but I just don't understand how you can give somebody a lifetime contract. Like, put them at 10 years or whatever it is, but for the rest of their life, like you have no idea what's gonna happen to them, what's gonna change in college athletics. And then the whole Stoops deal, like yes, he brought us to heights we thought we may never see with Kentucky football, but you never know how quick something is gonna change nowadays. So I really don't get some of the decisions that he made towards the end of his tenure, and that's going to be the main thing that stands out for me.
Also, want to highlight that the home run hire, or it could be a bad hire. I didn't even say could be Will Stein ? I think obviously that's time will tell with both him and Mark Pope. Skylar, I think that you have maybe, and I don't want to put pressure that you don't have or you don't know, but you might have a little bit of a different better perspective of the whole situation with the connection with Mitch Barnhart and the fan base due to you living in Lexington. You're there, you're a season ticket holder. Kind of what's your thoughts on that? Again, if you don't kind of know, I mean that's neither here or there. I mean, you may or may not, but I mean, I just feel like maybe you might have a better perspective on that.
Me personally, I don't know, like, kinda how Mason was saying, like, I don't know a lot of the details. I know, like, what he done, like, as far as, like, the main contracts and, like, football, basketball. His last, like, more recent deals as far as, like, JMI, like, if that's gonna come back to bite us or not, and then Stein. But around Lexington, honestly, I mean, I know he's done a whole lot for the program. I just think everybody's been so narrow-minded here in the last couple years. He hasn't really been a most, like, popular figure amongst most of the people that I've spoken with. Um, Luckily, Cal, he kinda gave us an out, with his contract going to Arkansas. There was, like, a little loophole there. Stoops, we were in a bind. We kinda probably wanted him gone a year earlier than when he actually did leave, and he's probably gonna get a hefty check here for the next few years as well. So, just the positions he's put us in, I think, has rubbed people the wrong way, but you gotta remember, this is UK fan base. We dive in way too deep sometimes, get a little dramatic. It's just how it is. Um but honestly, I haven't heard too many great things, not too many bad things, but like you said, there's not much interaction with him and the fans, so it's really hard to tell. Exactly.
Colton, I feel like I know which one's going to probably stand out to you the most. But I do, before we get that, I think this is very intriguing because I don't know if you all seen this video, and I guess it was the president that came out, Mason shaking his head. So that was a very interesting video. I can't recall his name, but pretty much what had happened for those who hadn't seen this video.
Or Compactula or whatever in there.
No, it was the old one, Colton.
Oh,
Previous.
Yeah, the previous one. Well, pretty much what had happened though is the time that Tubby Smith came, that era came to an end. Obviously, we went searching, and Mitch Barnhart apparently came up and said, "Hey, I want John Calipari." Now, again, keep in mind this was still while Calipari was at Memphis, and the scandals of that whole situation and that rabbit hole was occurring. And the president was like, "No, I don't want any business with that guy. Let's go get somebody else." And then that proceeded to go into get Billy Gillespie. So typically, yeah, I mean, Mitch Barnhart, he gets the heat off that and still gets the heat. And then this video rises up and it tells us that that's what the president said, not Mitch Barnhart. Mitch Barnhart wanted Cal. And then 2 years later, Gillespie with his whole scandal of wanting to drive around New Circle Road and, that whole thing. His time came to an end. And then Mitch Barnhart goes to the president again and says, "Hey, we need you to get we need Cal. And they ended up meeting in Chicago, and next thing you know, John Calipari is introduced as the new head basketball coach for the University of Kentucky, and then the rest is history. So looking at that, Mitch Barnhart, did he receive some heat that he probably didn't deserve? Well, first off, you got a question. Is this necessarily true, or is it false, or is it one of those just like, I got you back, buddy. I'm not going to let you go down like that. Like, because it's kind of odd to me that this video is just now coming to life. Now, it could be true. It could not be true. I have no idea. But Colton, looking at the whole situation with Mitch Barnhart, we really didn't dive into more depth, which I would love to hear from your perspective about. Mitch Barnhart isn't going to this island, this tropical island, to retire. He's going to be still involved in Kentucky sports, somewhat probably, if I had to guess, but more so the title is academics. But is that going to be true? Do you foresee this still being a thing where Mitch Barnhart's putting his things aside and he's just going strictly to academic, or is he going to have his nose up in some of that Kentucky business? And here we are, like we thought we got rid of him, and he's back.
Yeah, just to me, it sounds like we're paying two ADs. I mean, like he's obviously going to have some impact on it, whether or not he actually makes any type of final decisions. But you can't tell me that he's not going to have his say, or what AD is going to come in and not at least feel tempted to ask,
right, to go ask for advice or something.
To go asking, especially because the candidates that we're looking at all were under Barnhart.
Right.
If you go and look, Oregon's and Alabama's and Dwayne Peavy and all these ones they were all under Barnhart at one point. So you can't tell me they're not going to show up, whoever we get, and be like, well, let me go talk to him about a few things. So, I mean, that to me worries me because, I mean, there's one, why are we paying for two people like that? But two, I don't want some of his influences to kind of, I want the new AD to come in and do his own thing. Whether it ends up being good or bad, he needs to jump and see if he can fly. But I'll give my shot. Here's the thing about Barnhart. I mean, his ride's going to be known as a roller coaster. I'm going to give him his flowers for obviously the hires of the Calipari and the Rich Brooks, and you had Mark Stoops was a good hire, and now Kenny Brooks for the women's team, because same thing, right? Like you come in your first hires, if he did end up hiring Billy G and Joker Phillips was your first two hires of your two main sports. Terrible, right? But you bounce back, right? You
it's about to bounce back.
Right.
You learn from your mistake.
Right, correct. You bounce back with Calipari and Mark Stoops. And then same thing, first thing with Matthew Mitchell when he retired. The girls program was getting really steady. They were they were good. And then your hire took them back down here. But you come back with Kenny Brooks, and now here they are, a top, 15 type team now again, and very quickly. Look, the baseball team went to Omaha for the first time in like 2 years ago, right? So I think Nick Mingione is a great hire. You saw the soccer team won a national championship, right? A couple of years ago, I think. They won a national championship. You think of the track team, we've got a couple with Sydney McCollin. A volleyball team won a national championship, and then
championship game this year.
Yeah, and lost in the championship game this year. So there is a lot of good. And here's the thing about JMI: it kills basketball, but for other sports, it's helped build it up.
It's great
because they can spend. They can. Correct. So as an athletic director, that's a tough decision, probably, right? Like you're an athletic director for all of Kentucky athletics. Obviously, you know where your main stuff lays and what you'll probably be judged on the most.
And your sponsors, that's a big thing. You know where your sponsors are going to be putting money.
You know where your sponsors are. But as a whole, if he truly cared about the whole athletic department, he probably made the right decision by doing JMI. It's just unfortunate because we're all so invested in basketball and football. So I'm going to give him his flowers in it because overall, I think he done a pretty good job. The contracts were a little iffy. He probably didn't need to, but I also think like the lifetime contract with Cal, I think at the moment that he gave him that, I don't think there's a person in Kentucky that would have been like, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you give it to him? He was like 60 years old. You assume he's probably just coaching for another 10 years anyhow. So it wouldn't no different than like a 10-year contract anyhow. I'm just saying lifetime. I mean, at that point, who was going to sit there and say, yeah, Cal needs to leave? Because he'd been there, 6 or 7 years and been to 5 Elite Eights, 2 national championships. I mean, who wasn't going to give him that? No one was going to disagree with that.
I
Mark
can't remember.
Stoops.
What year did he give the lifetime contract? At what point of career was Calipari did he get it?
I think it was like 2018 or 2017, 2018,
I think it was after
something like
that.
that. You think so?
I'm pretty sure.
Well, I mean,
I'm pretty sure it was after
think,
2015 at the earliest.
It was after when?
2019.
Okay, so that was like right after what, Tyler Hero's year, I guess? Or
Yeah,
was
so
that...
we went to the Elite Eight with Tyler Hero and them, and I think
who did we lose
Tyreek
to? I
Maxey,
can't remember. Was it Kansas State?
No, Auburn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next year we win the SEC again with a team that I feel like we all think was at least Sweet 16, if not Elite Eight bound, if not further. With Maxey and Quickly and all them. They won the SEC.
Higgins.
But like I said,
Richards.
he was at 60 years old at that point, maybe 61 or 2, and you're thinking he's probably retiring at 70. So you can say lifetime contract, but he wasn't going to coach till 85 or something like that. So it really was like no difference than 8. I mean, they just gave a lifetime contract to Rick Barnes. So I think Cal at least deserved that if they're going to give one to Rick Barnes.
Don't compare us to Tennessee. Don't do that.
But that's what I'm saying.
Come on, man.
I'm saying of the 2 guys who actually would deserve maybe something like that.
No, I agree.
know it's definitely Cal over Rick Barnes.
I agree with that, but
well, hey, we'll see. Only the future can tell. Like I said, I think this is a monumental moment for UK sports, and we'll see where it goes. Mason, lead us into your little game, then we'll close things out with the Florida upcoming game for tomorrow.
All right, so another little fun game here. We've done this one before, so it's going to be the keep and cut. All right, so this one's going to have a little bit more events on it. All right, so it's going to be keep 3. I'll cut it down a little bit for y'all. I'll go keep 3, cut 7. Okay, so there's 10 total. All right, and we're going sports events.
Oh, I've seen this. I actually thought of you. I seen it, and I was like, I bet this is what Mason's wanting us to do. So
yeah. All right. So keep 3, cut 7. All right. So we're gonna start off.
Oh, keep. Gotta keep.
You gotta keep March Madness.
March Madness. I'm like for sure keep on that.
Y'all don't keep
I feel like I got outvoted.
I would keep March Madness over the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Skylar. I am right there with you.
I'm not disagreeing.
Look at the longevity of it. I mean, we're talking about
the amount of games.
No, I agree.
And the insanity that can happen.
I agree.
What are you going to be doing all month this month? We know what you're going to be doing. You're going to be on sports or FanDuel. We know. So
I know, but I think I'll that's fine with it. But I don't know about you all, but once Kentucky loses, it's nowhere near as fun for me.
It's not as near as fun, but I still love it. I still love it though.
I am not that invested in it after Kentucky loses. So
I'm still
it's just one of those things.
Like
it's like if Kentucky loses, like I could really it's awesome, but like I could a couple of years ago when it was San Diego State and UConn in the national championship game. Electric. I could have cared less about that game.
Electric. What do you mean?
All right, so we're keeping.
Keep.
All right.
Keep it.
All right. Okay. All right. Next one, we're gonna go NBA playoffs.
Get that out of here. Stop. Don't even pull it later, Dylan.
See you later. Stop. Don't even listen to Dylan talk.
Cut it. Stop it.
I no, you're not even. You've not even let me talk. Let me talk. I literally just said on the last episode that I have found myself watching less and less NBA. I think it's because LeBron's career is coming to an end, so I'm fine with cutting it.
Okay. All right. Next one we're gonna go. This should be an easy decision for y'all. Quick one here. Stanley Cup playoffs.
Oh, cut.
NHL.
All right. Colton's going to try to act like cut. Oh, okay. I thought Colton was going to be on. Now, listen, guys, the Stanley Cup playoffs, I'm all about the Predator. Like, I thought he was going to be like kind of like trying to get into it.
The Predators are making a run. I mean, I'm all in.
It was fun. It was fun when the Predators were really good.
Get to cut.
Yeah, when they made a run, yeah.
All right. Next one here. College football playoff.
I think the biggest thing for us right now is we got to put in our mind, what has he not said that we have a feeling he's going to say? I already have one if not 2 for sure, that I want above that.
Would you
For
take
sure.
would you take
Yeah.
college football over the Super Bowl? Would you take the playoffs over the Super Bowl?
No,
Or do you
I
think it would
wouldn't
be the
take
entire NFL
playoffs. I would take
postseason?
college football as a whole.
He said just
Well,
playoffs. He didn't say as a whole.
He just said college football playoffs. I would take college football as a whole, yes, but college football
Same.
playoffs, like I don't care much about us.
All right, we're
that
cutting
James
it.
Madison game, like that's not a. I mean,
don't
there's
know.
too
That
many
was a
like
hard
James
one.
Madison, Tulane.
I
was
think
all
I
in it,
want to
like
keep that one. I think,
the foot.
but
Outvoted.
I'm cutting it.
All right, we're cutting the college football playoffs.
I think we're going to
Next one.
regret that one.
NFL playoffs.
NFL playoffs,
Including the Super Bowl, I'm assuming. Like that goes
Does
into
this-
The college
you're not
football
gonna
playoffs
give us
includes
a
the national
Super Bowl, right?
championship. It includes national. NFL playoffs includes everything.
Okay, so
So
here's
I
my
think we
thing.
have to keep
If
that
we
one then.
keep this, there's only one other thing that I'm thinking in my head right away that I'm relying on. I'm not going to say it yet unless we get to that point, but I'm fine with keeping this one.
I think we have to at this point. What
Yeah,
other
I mean,
major
I
thing
think-
other than like the World Series, and then
think-
we get into golf maybe?
it's gonna be the World Series, and y'all aren't gonna want that. I would have personally kept it, but y'all won't want to keep it. But
You're going to get
and other
outvoted.
than that, it's gonna be something like the Masters or something. I feel like so. Let's keep the NFL playoffs.
Yeah, I think keeping that over college is
Next
good.
one.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. MLB postseason.
Cut.
See you later.
I love my
See
Braves,
you
but they
later.
won't go with it.
I mean, it was fun. I actually watched more MLB postseason.
I think the MLB postseason is.
It's fun. It is. I watched that Dodgers series was where it stayed up to like 3 a.m. Like I watched a lot of that series, but I'm still cutting it 100%. I know. I think we all know what we want.
College World Series.
Cut.
Okay.
Cut.
World Cup.
Now, whoa, where are we at? How many more do we have left? Because not that I want
3.
the World Cup. Okay. I mean, I'm doing a lot of talking, but I think we have the same mindset. We know what we want, right, fellas?
Yeah.
Hello, friends.
I think you got to cut that one.
Am I gonna say what y'all think I'm gonna say?
may not.
Don't be
I
that
hope so.
guy. I feel like you're going to do it on purpose.
I hope so. I mean, who knows? All right, next one. The Olympics.
Winter or
Ooh,
summer or both?
That's a good one.
Both.
Ooh.
Ooh, the Olympics.
See,
Well,
this
every
is
4
where
years.
it's getting harder.
Are y'all gonna go against USA?
So this is where it gets hard, Colton and Skylar, because I have a feeling he's about to just like be like, I mean, let's just say what we want here. We all were wanting the Masters, right? I feel like that's what we're wanting, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's going to probably end up saying something like WWE or or like the WrestleMania as the last one.
WrestleMania.
Instead of
Hey, don't
it's
sleep
lit.
on that. Don't sleep on it.
Da-da-da-da. But I'm fine with putting all my eggs in one basket. I hope he don't switch up and not. But it's whatever. What do y'all want to do? Do y'all want to cut it or keep it?
If it was just winter, I would definitely cut it. But adding summer with it, that's tough. That's a lot going on. And we only get it every 4 years.
That's Michael Phelps, baby. I mean,
But
even
I think
and we
we
watched
still gotta
Scotty
cut.
win gold. I mean, we can watch. I mean,
Hello, friends. I mean, I feel like we're just waiting for it.
Well, what are we doing? Are we cutting?
Yeah, I guess we're cutting. We got outvoted.
But wait, I mean, I was on the board. I mean, y'all could have
All right.
convinced me, but I guess cut.
So far, we have kept March Madness. We have cut NBA playoffs. We have cut NHL playoffs. We have cut college football playoff. We have kept the NFL playoffs. We have cut MLB postseason, College World Series, World Cup, the Olympics, and you are keeping the Masters.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Perfect list.
Perfect. Yep.
Perfect.
I agree.
list. Yeah.
I
I love it. I love the list.
Yeah.
Hey, I like that. Good game. All right. Well, Skylar, you are a part of the longest Bluegrass State of Mind episode to this point. We are at an hour and 9 minutes. We usually try to keep it right 9 minutes or an hour, but hey, we are rocking and rolling. It's a great episode tonight. So let's close things off with the Florida game. Let's keep it to about 5 minutes. So we are going to be welcoming the Florida Gators, who are hotter than firecrackers right now. This is the last regular season game of the season for the Kentucky Wildcats and Florida Gators. This game is going to be obviously played at Rupp Arena at 3 o'clock. Florida comes in with an overall record of 24-6, 15-2 in SEC play, and your Kentucky Wildcats are currently 19-11, 10-7 in SEC play. The Florida, like I said, they're rolling. They already clinched the regular season SEC title. They are on a very long winning streak. Kentucky right now, we just are desperate in need of momentum more than anything, I feel like, going into the postseason. So, Skylar, what is kind of the biggest thing for you? Each of you all give me one key to success for a win for Kentucky. If there is any chance that Kentucky can come out and win this game, what is one thing that we must do? And we'll start with Skylar.
I think we have to start hot and stay hot. We can't have one of those lackadaisical starts where we get down 20 and then fight back. So in any chance to even stay with this Florida team, we have to come out blazing hot.
Mason, what's one key to success for a win for tomorrow?
Mine's going to be pretty simple. Take care of the basketball. I don't remember how many turnovers we had against them last time, but I feel like in all of our losses, we had double-digit turnovers. So if we can limit it, keep it under double digits, I think we have a good chance to win.
Bulldog.
Limit offensive rebounds. Their bigs kind of control the game a lot of times. I actually think our guards can be as physical as theirs with Lee and playing. Like, I would take Owe and Aberdeen being as physical, matching up with them. But we can't continue to give them multiple looks. You avoid offensive rebounding, second chance points, and you may keep it, within striking distance.
I think for me is that you got to feed off the crowd. Rupp's going to be rocking. Obviously, that's not like an in-game thing, but I think that plays a lot into it. It's I think a 3 o'clock tip-off. It's going to be a Saturday game, last home game, last game, senior day. Like, Rupp is going to be packed. We especially given the opponent being Florida, who is winning, and they just come off the national title. Aberdeen, that was his old team. Like, the fan base is going to be there. We always are.
Senior night.
Right. We are going to show up for you all. So just feed off the crowd. And I think that's a huge thing, is just come out. The fans are going to be electric, so play into that and just get the win. I mean, it will do so much for us, not only for momentum sakes, but also seeding in the SEC and possibly, in March. You just never know what type of seeding we're going to get right now. Well, hey, Skylar, thanks for coming on tonight. We'll look to have you back on. Obviously, continue to like, subscribe, share with a friend. Give us feedback. You can follow us on our socials on Facebook and TikTok. And yeah, we appreciate y'all listening. This has been another episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. And as always, go Cats.
Go Cats. Go Cats.
That's a wrap for this episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, be on the lookout for our social media pages and be sure to follow them. We've got plenty more stories, insights, and conversations coming your way. And if you really loved it, make sure to share it with a friend. From the hills to the hollers, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep that Kentucky spirit strong.